Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Video Night focused on Kaiju. Do you Kaiju? Cause we do. I'm gonna say on this one though, John is gonna be better at this than me because I got a little bored during this stretch of Godzilla.
I don't blame you. Some of these ones are kind of rough. I like, especially because these are where they introduce the baby Godzilla.
Oh God, I can't do this. I'm quitting.
thing-
I bail already.
That thing is. I mean, I hate Manila from the original series, but Manila wasn't that hard to look at, and in some of these things, that thing is just nightmare fuel. I feel like I'm watching a Tool video or something. You know? This thing shows up, and I'm just freaked out by it.
All right, so this is a series within a series. What we did before was we spun off last year. Yeah, last year we did the Star Trek films and James Bond. We discussed every entry in those franchises, and we're kind of looking at other franchises we could cover that were long-lasting. And Godzilla's basically the last one. I mean, I've already done Pink Panther with somebody else and Planet of the Apes, even though I would definitely do Planet of the Apes again. The Halloween, the Jasons, the Michael Myers, or that is Michael Myers, the Freddy's and stuff like that. So there's not a lot of long-lasting franchises left that we haven't discussed. So it's either this or Fast and the Furious. I can't think of any others.
I'm one of those people who I like the Fast and the Furious films, but I only essentially like what essentially would be like the last trilogy, where you have 5, 6, and 7.
Yeah, that's what most people
Those
go
are
for.
really, I think those are probably the only genuinely good films of that franchise.
Yeah.
Although the first one isn't bad.
Come on. Okay, let's go off to a side note right here because the first one is Point Break. The second one is pure cartoon comic book. The third one I actually enjoyed Tokyo Drift a lot. 4 sucks so much ass, and I cannot believe it's the one that saved the franchise. 4 is the worst.
Yeah, but that's why I always just think 5 is. I always kind of thought 5 being the franchise saver because that really kind of recontextualized the entire thing.
Oh, totally, yeah, and that's the one that I think a lot of new people jumped on.
Yeah, we're now doing globe-trotting adventures, and we're making this a lot more Bond-ish.
Yeah, Bond mixed with superhero. They're like a superhero team almost.
Almost, yeah.
Yeah. But I just don't see us doing that. But I would be open maybe down the road doing some Planet of the Apes because I could discuss. That's my favorite film franchise. Okay, so what I was saying, if you don't know this mini premise within a premise, Video Night is where we select 4 films with a similar topic and we discuss them. We'll pick like 1 or 2 fairly well-known ones. Maybe they bombed, they weren't critically well loved, and we'll mix in a couple underrated ones. So this one is more of an exploration for me. I'm discovering Godzilla. Either I've never seen this one, or it's been a real long time since I've seen it before. And I'm going to tell you right now, if you're a hardcore G fan, you might want to bail because I'm going to screw it up. But you're a little more versed in this franchise than I am.
Yeah. Although in watching these, I've made the realization that I had seen less of the Heisei films than I had the Millennium, or I mostly had seen all the old school Showa era films.
Yeah, I've seen a bunch of the Showa era because, things like I grew up in an era with UHF television where they just had to pad those independent stations with cheap fodder. So I saw a lot of Godzilla kind of stuff and Italian garbage ripoff movies. This era, I thought I knew this era, and it was Millennium is the one that I've seen the most. Except the when we spun off over to the Gamera, I've seen those movies so many times.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, like, there is I really do respect this now after having watched the entirety of this era. Now I do respect the fact that it is its own enclosed series.
It is,
even
but
though
it's so nostalgia filled though. That's what bugged me is I felt like a lot of the times they would focus on villains from the past. I think those are some of the weaker entries.
Yeah. Well, it's like we kind of disagree a little bit on Biollante, but
I love Biollante.
I kind of look at that and just kind of go, Godzilla versus a immobile plant isn't exactly the most dynamic fight.
Yeah.
But there's some really good stuff in there. And granted, I didn't get a chance to see the entire film. I got to see a very
a truncated version because that's really hard to find for some weird ass reason.
So I can't. As much as I can speak to it, it's like Yes, but I haven't seen the full version.
All right, so we're starting off with Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla 2, which is weird because they're supposed to be
Yeah.
rebooting the franchise, so there shouldn't be a Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla 2. It should just be Mechagodzilla. It's weird. Why not just call it
That's the thing.
Mechagodzilla?
Yeah. Yeah, especially because it's not a sequel to the original 74, and there already was a sequel to Mechagodzilla, which was Terror of Mechagodzilla
Right,
in 75, which was the last Showa film. This was just branding, basically. They threw together, we're going to make Mechagodzilla this time. Well, there was already name recognition in the States, so we'll just call it Mechagodzilla 2 and, move on with our lives.
We also have the return of Rodan, which I think is a lame ass villain. He looks terrible.
Oh, he is. There are better uses of Rodan in all the original Showa films. This is just horrible.
Yeah, it almost looks like it's straight out of like Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood puppetry. It looks garbage.
Yeah, and it's why in this grouping of films that we watched too. I kind of wonder why they feel like they needed to stack monsters in this for no apparent reason, because two of these films have creatures that we're fighting for that do not service the plot, that really there's a better story in there without the addition of Rodan or actually even Destroya in Destroya.
Yeah. This is the one that starts the trilogy of the Defense Force that they build to fight back Godzilla, and it continues the Biollante storyline with Miki, where she has the psychic connection, which they've dabbled in and out of, but this one connects more. The next two movies really touch back to Biollante a lot.
Very much so in the next one, but my God, is it just me, or is this like the perfect example of the arrogance of, at this time, I guess we'll still have to put air quotes, modern day man, because we decide we pick up the robotic head of King Ghidorah from that film, the time traveling, the creature created by time travelers.
Yeah. And
we decide to build a better robot from this thing, as opposed to the people who can fucking travel in time.
Yeah, I can see that.
I mean, good lord, no wonder the damn thing is a goofy-looking bastard. I mean, it wasn't like in the original films, Mechagodzilla wasn't dorky. It was a pretty dorky suit to begin with. But in this one, my God, like they should have spent a little bit more time on it to maybe give it a little more motion.
Yeah, it's so awkward. I feel like the design work on it was bad, but the movements, the puppetry of it all was even worse. Whoever they had running this one, you ever notice there's a turning point in this as well as the previous Showa run where, budgets need to be cut because the box office is going down, so let's stop focusing so much on the city, let's start moving it off into islands and stuff like that. That usually is a sign that Godzilla movies are turning to crap.
Yeah, and there is a definite reason for that. I believe that was with Space. Yeah, because kind of why Space Godzilla is really kind of a steaming pile is a little bit of budgetary reasons. Yeah. But the other thing that kind of frustrated me about Mechagodzilla, Godzilla has an ass brain.
Has a what?
They talk about he has an ass brain. That is a plot point. They discover because they get the little baby Godzilla that he has like a little mini brain in his butt. So that is now a plot point in the series moving on.
I forgot about that. He has two brains. One controls what? One controls his movements, apparently, and the other one controls what? His instincts? I don't understand. Why have two brains?
I don't know. I just remember hearing that and then just kind of rewinding and going, wait. You said what?
Steve Martin, the Kaiju with two brains.
Yes, because we were going to do that one point where they were going to turn some of these films into a comedy. I think that was 84. It's like, this is not that far removed from the horrible idea that someone had pitched like a decade before.
Yeah, there's so many. It's when it gets goofier. Like, okay, the space time travel entry was bonkers, but in a great way. I always feel like they're just running out of ideas. I know this is going to turn into a bitch fest, but it does get better. Um, and they start appealing to kids because that's who they have to shift that franchise down to is kids because they're still loyal and the grown-ups are kind of bailing. It's exhausting. This is still better than Space Godzilla. It is.
This is true, but it's also the fact that in this one the humans are the bad guys, really, because we steal Baby Godzilla. Godzilla comes looking for Baby Godzilla. We are hiding Baby Godzilla, and putting his robot duplicate. And actually, yeah, that's a good point. Is Godzilla male or female?
Right. I was about to ask you. I forgot. What do we even refer to him as? Godzuki? Junior? Baby Godzilla?
Yeah, well, it's like Godzilla. Yeah, it's like Baby Godzilla. Well, I think it's like in the first film it's Baby Godzilla. Then I think they call it like Godzilla Junior or something like that.
Where do they come from? I don't like. Okay, Godzilla is mutated, but where did the little Godzilla come from? Because they say that he's nowhere nearly as powerful. He's not going to get as big. Who is he exactly?
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like you have on that island that Godzilla was created from. I guess that's where the eggs were. So you had the Rodan eggs and the Godzilla egg that get all irradiated. Except that's not what happened because we didn't do that, or honestly, I'm trying to remember that plot point from King Ghidorah at this point. I can't remember if they had bombed the island because Godzilla was dead, it didn't matter, or what, or how we got Godzilla back. It's been enough time between seeing it and now that I can't remember that part.
I know we delayed this. It's my fault. I almost lost memory. I mean, we almost feel like we have to do these immediately after watching because they just don't stick in your head. Let's move on and skip Space Godzilla because I just don't want to. I want to get burned through that one too. But Space Godzilla, I think, is the worst moment of this entire run. I was so bored. I kept checking in my phone, wandering off to go get something to eat, coming back, and not caring that I missed anything because it dragged on and the budget's so low and just I don't know. I was just I don't even care about Space Godzilla. Space Godzilla is what? Part of Godzilla was taken into space?
Yeah, it's basically Godzilla's DNA got shot into space, goes into, if I remember right, he goes into a black hole, comes out the other side, and has become Crystal Godzilla.
Crystal Godzilla, new from Pepsi.
Yeah, exactly. All he is it's Godzilla, but crystal-y. And
so he looked like he was at a Parliament Funkadelic, if you haven't seen the movie.
But there's something that got glossed over in the previous film that is kind of brought up in here, but also glossed over because Japan has a psychic army.
That's right. I forgot because one of them wasn't it 2 movies ago where Mickey she was talking about not wanting to use her powers and that because of that they've diminished and not as strong as the other people on her team.
Well, she in the previous film she's working in like a educating psychics and stuff like that because they bring in the children to go see Baby Godzilla and they sing Baby Godzilla's song, which then brings Rodan back to life and mutates him, however that works. But yeah, we get it like early on in this film. We go through this psychic ward, and it's like you have these psychic soldiers. Is that ever going to be brought up ever again?
Oh, it does over in Dream Warriors.
Well, it's like, is this actually how Japan becomes the economic superpower of the future that the white people who came back in time wanted? Is that really what it is? It's just psychic projections?
I don't know.
There's stuff to be dug out of these movies.
Yeah.
That they never explored.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of times they could get into detail. I usually argue that every Godzilla movie should be 45 minutes long and it should be mostly just the battle, but there are some of the movies that have good plots, and some of them, I almost feel like they go, nah, nobody gives a shit about the plot. Let's just go. I mean, they did these so fast. Every single year. Trying to have quality control every single year of a franchise always is a problem. I mean, think about every horror franchise that's been annual. Or let me just talk about the absolute high quality of the Police Academy sequels.
Oh, yeah. Even though I love the Police Academy movies to an extent.
I bailed on 5. 5 is awful. 6 gets better, yeah.
They're not, the sequels really do, it's very much a diminishing returns from those films. But there's yeah, they don't try in these things, and it's very obvious. You can see where they gave up.
God, that's another long-lasting franchise. But I always feel like, see, the problem is they cover a lot of these stuff in other shows. Like there was a Police Academy cartoon, so we just talked about all the movies. Same thing for Planet of the Apes and Pink Panther. They all have cartoons based on them. Godzilla had cartoons. Do you want to talk about the Godzilla cartoons at all? Because I don't think there's ever going to be another chance.
I've actually never really watched the Godzilla cartoon.
Oh, okay.
I remember it being a Hanna-Barbera thing. I will say it's like this. I know I've seen some.
Yeah, that's the one that Hanna-Barbera did. It's one of the few moments where they did more of an action, sophisticated thing. This is where Godzuki came in. That one's more beloved than the one that came after the 1998 movie.
See, I remember that one more, but I remember it when it came out going, oh, they did a cartoon based on this? Oh, this really bites. Okay, we're done with this.
Yeah, Space Godzilla is definitely a skipping point, but I think Destroya really saves it, which is ironic since it's called Destroya.
Yeah, this is another one where the monster really, like this, I really like this movie. I just wish Destroya wasn't a part of it because it's a fascinating film where we have to stop Godzilla from melting down, and creating a catastrophic, explosion that will decimate the planet.
Well, I think
that's a fucking movie.
Yeah, it's a good metaphor for like consumption, about how overconsumption of something can destroy you. I mean, it could be boiled down further to being like a drug addict or something like that, where your addiction gets out of control, you blow up at people, and you become basically a natural disaster of your own. I don't think they ever thought about that, but that's what I read into it.
Yeah, and that makes sense. And I mean, again, if you're using the idea of Godzilla being a reference for nuclear power, meltdowns in nuclear reactors, I mean, you got a fairly straightforward thing. Is what do you do when these things start to start to break down? You got to find a way to contain it.
Yeah.
And the danger of something like this on a global scale. And then this is also very much a sequel to the original Godzilla because it brings back the oxygen destroyer. We have references to the Doctor and all his research, and even Momoko Koichi reprises her original role from the first film, and it's she's like the female lead from it.
Yeah.
And you have like all these references to the original film, which. Part of me, again, trying to remember Ghidorah, I seem to remember it completely contradicting what happened in that film because of all, oh yeah, Godzilla didn't happen because we stopped it. But apparently it still happened.
It does drive me a little nuts that they're constantly rebooting this. We're going to hit this here in a couple of years. It just feels like a lot of times they're like, well, no, we're going to change this, then we're going to bring it back. Change this, going to bring it back. It reminds me of DC Comics, where they're like, oh, we're going to reboot the universe, and then people bitch, and like, well, let's bring this back and bring this back. And then you realize it was completely pointless.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like, this film technically only exists because they were waiting on the U.S. Godzilla to happen. So they were going to sit down and... it was supposed to be like 94, I think, was when originally they were supposed to release the American Godzilla.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think there was a couple earlier attempts. I know that Fred Decker, the guy that did Monster Squad and Night of the Creeps, had been hired to do a Godzilla script, and there have been other attempts, like there was supposed to be a Godzilla 3D, but it never happened. I even think Joe Dante was temporarily attached. Yeah, so they were also like wrapping up the franchise because they didn't want to compete with the American version, correct?
Yeah, well, yeah, because that's kind of why Space Godzilla was kind of rushed into production. Again, so no money and stuff like that, because that's when the first time the American Godzilla got delayed. So, or at least the first time that they were counting on a Godzilla film to happen. So they shot out this Space Godzilla film, and then it still didn't happen. So they were, oh shit, we gotta do something. We're gonna kill Godzilla.
Yeah, so they spent more money on this too. It's like they knew that there's a possibility, like it was gonna be a long gap, because I think the deal was as long as there was American productions, they couldn't do their own or something like that.
Yeah, I don't know the rights issuing on that, but it seems like that would seem to be a part of it would have been if America's working on them, we're not going to do anything.
Right, because
And
at this point, all these big budget movies are international, and I can see Sony going, look, we don't want you competing with us. Like, we don't want you to put out your own version of Godzilla while our version, and confusing the audience and pissing them off because they don't know which kind of Godzilla movie they're getting.
yeah, and this, I gotta say, them kill the end of
Oh
Godzilla
my
is
god, devastating.
really, it's disturbing and sad,
Yeah.
because just watching him literally melt down it's not as horrific as, say, like Gremlins, and how gross that is.
Yeah, but you don't care
me,
about. You
kinda
want
great.
him to be killed. That's the thing is, you wanted Mohawk or Stripe to die, but in this one, you start feeling for it. Okay, so we go on this journey where he loses his son, and he goes through this insane battle with Destroya, where it's just kicking the shit out of him, and he manages to survive that. But he beats him by going overboard, and then he can't contain the nuclear power, and that's when they freeze him, right? The defense team.
They're just freezing him up so they can, so that at the end of it, all he's just going to do is he's just going to melt down himself as opposed to explode.
So you spend this time with technically a family man and a true warrior who defeated back someone, probably his greatest enemy at that time, and then you watch him just basically explode. Yeah, I was actually heartbroken. I shouldn't even give a shit. I was.
Yeah, and that is it. I think that's a twofold thing, because it is the strength of the filmmaking in that particular film, but it's also the fact that over the course of these movies, we've been following this particular version of Godzilla, and you kind of get to grow to love him over the course of the time, because we're seeing he's not, he doesn't want to take shit. He cares about his son, or her son or whatever. And it's just, you have to feel for this character over the course of these films. Hell, I think one of a disservice, even though it would have been horrible. Apparently, Space Godzilla's original cut was like 2.5 hours long.
Oh, dear God.
Yeah, I don't want to see that version, but there was a deleted scene where after baby Godzilla gets trapped in the little crystal trap, Godzilla's trying to break it open, trying to get its baby out. It's sad and afraid and stuff like that. But in the film, it's just baby gets trapped, Godzilla goes off and fights Space Godzilla. It's like, no, we had an entire film where Godzilla was going after this damn baby. You're just going to gloss over this thing, whereas in that same film, they kept a shot where Godzilla's coming up on the beach. That's like a 10-minute shot, 10-minute sequence of him arriving on a beach. We're going to keep that, but we're going to cut an actual emotional moment in the film.
Yeah, it's a bad idea. That's not available, right? That was just a temporary. They didn't actually release that, did they?
That, as far as I know, that never got released.
Okay,
That's
good.
just the original cut, and probably doesn't exist probably didn't keep any deleted scenes or anything.
This is, I think, one of the better ones of the era. Really heartbreaking ending. So I was just thinking about this as we recorded, and I never dawned on me before. Why the hell are we discussing Godzilla 2000 this episode? That's the next era. That's a Millennium series. We should totally hold off.
We could, but I think it does kind of, because we were talking about, oh yeah, they were waiting off on American Godzilla.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about the American Godzilla instead?
No, because let's not talk about that film.
Can I say this? I don't hate it.
Go for it.
I don't hate it. It's getting worse as I get older. But at the time I saw this, I was like, it's not bad. Everybody hated it, and it was like, oh, it's a piece of shit. It was one of those when I was working at Blockbuster I picked up for like $3 in the bargain bin because they bought 1 million copies. And like 3 months later, it was like, hey, this is cheap as a rental. So I watched it, and I was like, it's not that bad. I like Matthew Broderick. By the way, when did Matthew Broderick go from being the coolest kid around to being like this nebbish schlub?
Oh, he grew up. That's why.
Yeah.
He grew up and he filled out, and then he became dad.
Yeah, I always wanted to see a sequel to Ferris Bueller. I want to see the son of Ferris Bueller, where Ferris is now like a boring office guy because he was forced to grow up and he's given up being youthful and happy. And then his son is getting in trouble in school and thinks he owns the high school. And then he's basically like, he's going to leave his office job to go rein in his son who's off having fun in the city So he becomes his own Mr. Rooney, trying to bring his son in.
Okay, yes, I would see that.
Yes, but then, of course, we're going to have the moment where he realizes that he's just too serious, he's not enjoying life, and then just decides to have a lot of fun with his son. Now, you do that halfway through the movie, and then have maybe one of Ferris's co-workers who's also bucking for like a promotion or something like that, or he wants to take away his job. So he decides to like try to capture footage of him screwing around in the city with his son to get him fired or demoted. Because you got to have some sort of antagonistic person there.
Well, that's where I would have thought it would be Ferris the entire time. But in a way, because as you were describing that, I was thinking about it. I'm like, yeah, you have that kind of reveal in a way, like at the end in like the Lego Movie, kind of where you all of a sudden where you have that revelation that it's all a kid's imagination and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And technically, the villain is his father. And then you kind of get where you get the denouement of, just because you grew up doesn't mean you can't have fun, sort of thing. Granted, I would still want to have Ferris Jr. get in trouble for it, because that's the thing. As an adult, I look at the Ferris Bueller film and just as a teenager, you're like, rebel, yeah, he's the awesomest kid. And then you get older, you go, popular boy gets to do whatever the fuck he wants.
Yeah, and you're like, you start feeling for Mr. Rooney because he's just a guy doing his job. Does he go overboard? Yep.
Yeah, he's an asshole. Let's not, you don't go, no one's going to root for the guy, but yeah, he's not wrong is the problem. Or I guess
how he does it is
wrong.
Film is, yeah. How did we get here? Oh, yeah, Godzilla, because that's the best we're going to talk about. I cannot stand Roland Emmerich as a director. I think his movies are fucking flaming piles of garbage, except for Stargate. Okay, I'll tolerate Universal Soldier.
No love.
Yeah.
Okay, I was about to say no love for Universal Soldier. Oh man.
Yeah, I mean I kind of like it, but as I get older, I'm not liking it as much. But Independence Day, I think, is severely overrated. I'm still shocked it made so much money. And then Godzilla, he had a check to do whatever he wanted to. What's the other guy he's with? It's Roland Emmerich and.
Shoot, can't think of his name. He did Geostorm.
Yeah.
That guy.
Whatever. Yeah, it's just like those two guys are allowed to do whatever they wanted to, and they're given this massive paycheck. You remember how hard they pushed this? Godzilla was everywhere, especially in Taco Bell advertisements with that little chihuahua going, "You can't Taco Go, oh my gosh."
They had that. The soundtrack.
Oh boy.
Highly touted. I own that stupid thing.
I have it too.
And I kind of regret it, although it's like it still has a not bad cover of Heroes by.
I think that's great. Yeah, but it has that shitty Puff Daddy song with the sample from Led Zeppelin.
Yeah.
Do you remember when they just took a Green Day song and then just entered Godzilla screams in it? Just random screams.
Yeah,
what the fuck is this?
I love that. That's Brain Stew. I love that song. I was so angry with that.
They have a great. Is it Jamiroquai has a good song? Going deeper underground.
Rage Against the Machine has the most subversive song on it because it's completely about how bullshit soundtracks and things like tie-in things like that are.
Yeah.
It's just completely. The most subversive song, but they're on there because they were popular.
Yeah, it's like a soundtrack of its moment. Back when soundtracks mattered, kids, it used to happen. I think the last big soundtrack was Avengers, and that was 7 years ago. But I remember having a severe hangover right when this movie was being promoted, and I went into the cafeteria to get my breakfast, and I'm not just fucked up. I am fucked up. Spent the whole night puking and stuff like that, and I remember some guy walking through the commissary hall doing the Godzilla scream over and over and over, and I almost stabbed him because of it. And that's what held me off from watching the movie. It wasn't the bad reviews, people. It was that emotional pain from that screech.
Oh man, yeah. People have a tendency to ruin anything good just by constantly beating it into the ground.
Yeah, this movie is a mess. I think the CGI, they pulled a lot of cheats on it. I still don't understand how he can hide in a city that big. They keep finding bullshit excuses. I think Jean Reno is wasted.
The entire thing where they're making fun of Siskel and Ebert.
Oh, that was too on the nose, and that and the fact that they just stole Jurassic Park basically with the little raptors.
Yeah, like there's, oh my god, there's just so much wrong with that film.
Yeah, and Godzilla is not a hero in any way. He is full on villain in this movie.
Yeah, it's just a monster there to smash in things. Then there's just nothing interesting about it. Like.
Yeah.
I think I mentioned. I think we did lightly talk about it before. Where the thing I actually love about that film is just a couple of the practical effects. Like right before Godzilla actually shows up, you have those, like they're trying to outdo Jurassic Park with the little puddle snaps, and you have like the cars bouncing up on the street and stuff. All that stuff is a wonderful practical bit.
Yeah, I like when the little bridge with the fisherman that blows apart. That was a really good effect.
Yeah, it's just nothing about it after you get into having Godzilla, surface and start doing things. Nothing about that really works.
It's just funny.
And poor Hank Azaria.
Oh, yeah.
Just having to exist in this film.
I'm just thinking the aftermath of all this, and then we got the Patriot from those guys, which is total fucking depressing. Oh god, everybody dies. That's the plot. Then Matthew Broderick did Inspector Gadget, which holy shit, are you fucking kidding me? You made a movie that's worse than Godzilla? Really? You made Inspector Gadget a massive fuck up. And
when you get demoted in the sequel by having French Stewart play you,
yeah.
You know you.
And then there was. Do you remember the Korean ripoff of Godzilla called Reptilian?
I have not seen that. Andrew has mentioned that when we were starting to talk about this, and I want to see that.
I think I have it. I think
it's going to be horrible.
Yeah, it's that, and that guy is the one who did Dragon Wars.
Oh man, yeah, D-Wars.
Yeah, or yeah, if you want to call it D-Wars, is such a dumbass name. Just call it Dragon Wars. Would have sold better. Okay, so
it would have sold.
We're in the final run. Let's talk about Godzilla 2000.
Yes, so Godzilla 98 happens, and Toho decides we're not going to let it end there, because that again, Godzilla, we killed Godzilla. We aren't going to do anything till the 50th. That was hell when they did Space Godzilla. That was the plan. We're not going to do anything till the 50th. Oh shit, we need to fix this. And what they did was remake Twister.
Man, you are breathing heavily into your mic. What? You must be angry.
Oh, no. In watching this, I did sit down, and once you get to this point where our Godzilla research people go and confront the corporate government people, I just looked at it and went, this is fucking Twister.
Yeah, don't they even say that he is a natural disaster, and that's changing what they view of the whole series views him in a certain way as like a Frankenstein kind of monster. Like he's a good guy, but sometimes he does bad things. This one is like, no, he is a walking tornado. Pretty
much, yeah. And they, these people want to research him. The government just wants to kill him. Our two leads in that regard were both interested in researching him, but now our villain has now turned into, I don't want to research him, I just want to find a way to kill him. And my girlfriend ended up pointing out something about him. He looks like Bruce Campbell. Like
Godzilla?
He's the Asian Bruce. No. I don't know the character's name. He's the evil scientist. He looks like Bruce Campbell.
Okay, I was like, you mean Godzilla? He looks like what the Necronomicon do to Ash?
No. Godzilla kind of looks like one of my cats, but but no.
I would say they both have the same chin.
But I was watching this, and this moment that she said it, and I saw that, I could not unsee it.
Wow.
So now it's this dumpy, schlubby dude versus Bruce Campbell. And it made the film a lot more interesting. But yeah, because let's be honest, Godzilla 2000 wasn't a good idea.
Yeah, you know what's funny? I'm still shocked this is in theaters. Now, people say Godzilla was a flop, and sort of was, but you can't sneeze at like $300 million worldwide. And I'm kind of surprised that Sony didn't just do another like lower budget Godzilla movie, but they just said, and even the budget on Godzilla 2000 is even lower than any of the previous, like the Heisei series. It was $8 million, which their normal was 10 to 12, and Sony still put it in theaters. I remember this was a wide release. They pumped it out pretty hard. I remember seeing the posters everywhere. My friend David went and saw it, and he's like, it's okay. It was the first use of CGI in the Toho series, right?
Yeah, and it
like
does
shit.
not
Holy
look good.
fucking
Yeah,
crap.
all those digital effects are horrible. I mean, okay, I'll forgive the really bad spaceship Orga design, because that fine.
Okay. We haven't talked about that. Why is there a spaceship again?
They're trying to terraform the Earth or something like that.
Yeah, because their planet is destroyed, and they want to turn Earth into their new habitat. But they also want Godzilla's DNA, his self-healing DNA, to help like rebuild their society.
Yeah, and that part of it's just kind of lost as well, like when we talk about dangling plot threads. That one just kind of like, yeah, they want Godzilla, they want his stuff. They are just researching. No, they're just going to recreate. Wait, what are you doing? Okay, we turned our spaceship into a monster that looks like something Todd McFarlane creates.
Oh god, it looked like fucking garbage. It looked like something from Power Rangers, that movie.
Yeah.
Ivan Ooze.
Like, I'll give this. This film has one, I think, of all the Godzilla films I've ever seen. I think it has probably one of the best shots ever, which is in the very beginning, as our ragtag friends are trying to outrun Godzilla. There's this side shot of the car and Godzilla in the background as he's walking, and it is beautiful because you see got this destruction in the background, Godzilla, giant and tall. You kind of get a nice sense of scale with their little Jeep in the foreground, and it's a beautiful shot. It's a shame that it was one in this film, and two, a beautiful shot in a Godzilla film.
Yeah, this one's a dud. I can't believe they restarted the franchise with this one, and this one was successful. It made $30 million worldwide, which was way more than the last few of the Heisei. How do you say it? Heisei? Heisei series. And it launched the next few films, and it gets a lot better, kids. Godzilla 2000. This is probably the roughest patch of the whole Godzilla verse.
But it's also for the Millennium films, they are kind of self-contained movies, because even though we've killed off Godzilla, and technically we had another Godzilla at the end of the last one.
That's true. They forget about that. That little Godzilla, Junior Godzilla, turns into the next Godzilla.
Yeah, but apparently that one kind of likes us. But then once we start this film off, I mean, they don't waste any time. He just shows up to fuck shit up.
Also, his new design. I love the new design work.
Yeah. It is not a bad looking suit. I like the original Showa era ones where they kind of made him a little more we kind of got a little friendlier by the end. That's really a little less rough around the edges. Excuse me. But kind of once you got into the Heisei era, the design work fluctuates quite a bit, and it's like making him look more evil, then less evil, then more evil again.
Yeah.
It's
and then cat-like, and then of course we sidestep to the 1988 version. See, Patrick Tatopoulos is a good designer, but I don't understand what he was doing with his design for the Roland Emmerich film. It looks strange.
It's just supposed to be like a giant iguana, essentially.
Yes, yeah. I was trying to figure out where he was going with that because it just looks weird. And it doesn't fit into that universe. Do they refer to it as Fraudzilla? Because if they don't, they should start now.
No, again, since they did allow that version of Godzilla to become canon, he's just Zilla, and listen to the how did this get made?
How did this get made? Yeah, let's go listen to How Did This Get Made episode of Godzilla.
Yeah.
What's up, jerks?
Yeah, what did we just watch where Andrew and I discussed that? Because we definitely talk a little bit about Zilla and how it gets defeated. In that film.
To some 41, and it lasts like 10 seconds. And I'm like, the real Godzilla. And it was like, yeah.
Yes, it made you all happy that he died like a chump because it is such a perfect sequence to sum up most people's feelings about the '98 Godzilla.
Well, that is it for this episode. We'll be coming back with more kaiju films next spring, closer to the Godzilla vs. King Kong, which I'm assuming is going to be the end of that particular franchise because I feel like there's diminishing returns financially, unless it's huge. But Legendary Pictures looks like they're going to be letting go of that license so that Toho can have it back, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, it's a shame. I liked the last Godzilla film. It was more of what I wanted than the previous Godzilla film.
Yeah.
Hopefully this breathes some life into it and we can have some more entertaining Godzilla stuff because I don't want any more of the anime Godzilla. I really don't. Toho, if they want to make a sequel to Shin Godzilla, please do, because that one was great.
Yeah, I haven't seen any of these. Even though I have access to Shin Godzilla, I still haven't got around to it.
Yeah, so that one is definitely a very good disaster film.
Cool.
Although, so bizarre because it's set mostly inside boardrooms. And with spent in very little time, especially in like the first half of the film, spent with Godzilla.
Alright, that seems weird. It's called a Godzilla movie then. More like a spin-off. Godzilla presents Boardroom Meetings. Hobbs and Shaw presents Godzilla. Wait, what? Hobbs and Shaw versus Godzilla.
Oh shit, dude! I would see that movie. I'd see that with the '98 Godzilla.
I would see that with Vin Diesel and his team together, just trying to outrace Godzilla and trap him with their harpoon guns. And then it turns out, Godzilla was undercover the entire time, and he helps him fight other monsters.
Dude, we gotta stop talking. Start
Fang and the Furious.
So we can release the treatment. Yeah.
We're gonna go write that. We're gonna write that as soon as we get done with Ferris Bueller too.
Oh, definitely.
All right. So in the meantime, we wait for more episodes. Check us out on Facebook under Video Night. And you have been filling in on our cartoon podcast, Back in Toons. And Comics on Infinite Earths is our next little adventure where we're going to go discuss some more comic books. We haven't done that in a while. It feels like it's been about a year and a half. Well, no, we did that one.
Like what?
We did one episode.
We did the one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the podcast that I've been ignoring. There's too many podcasts. I'm trying to wrap up some of this stuff. And I'm on Twitter under Retro Rock Entertainment, and you're under I never know how to say it right.
Musician? Yeah. Musician. MYUZISHION. Lots of reasons behind it, and it, the more I say it, the more terrible it becomes. And I wish I didn't do that.
Well, that's how I feel about Back in Toons. I'm like, why did I call it Back in Toons? Like, even ask Jacob, because he's been there since the beginning. I go, how the fuck did we end up with Back in Toons? He's like, well, you were talking about, like, Back in Time, and you were talking about cartoons, and you just said Back in Toons. And this is after, like, 80 different titles that we threw around that weren't taken. We would come up with a good title, like, God damn it, someone has that one. Ah, fuck. Back in Toons. When I tell people this, they just kind of give me this look like, all right. But it bothers me, and I don't know why it bothers me. No one else seems to give a shit. Back in Toons. Weird.
Nah, I think it's a good name for the show.
But it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything.
It doesn't have to mean anything. It just has to mean something to you.
All right, that is it. It's been a long, long fucking day, so I'm getting kind of goofy now. I'm gonna go drink some and try to get some sleep.
Right on.
And you're off to work, so you better not drink.